So coming to France, I realized yup is not universally understood as, and they're like, what are you saying? Yep. Like, yes. And, I apologize for bringing the weather with me from Dallas, Texas. Yeah, that was me apparently. Um, so yeah, hottest since World War II or something like that. Pretty crazy. All right, so making it to the number one app, sold everything, had no idea what I was doing, and found this game, sent him an email, and here's my experience, the short version, right? So don't do it. What I experienced is synonymous to winning a lottery ticket, right? But if you do, believe in what you're building, the meaningful work aspect of it, okay? So let's talk about, so I spent 4 months building this game, and then I released it to the App Store. So this game actually, a little bit about the background of the web version of the game. The web version of the game went viral on the web first. So I actually heard about it from a tweet from some random person, and then I ended up playing it for a while. And then that's when I did right-click view source, found Michael's name, and then finally emailed him. So it was on the front page of Hacker News for at least a day, which is a big deal. And it got, I think, at that point in time, it had almost 500,000 hits on his website. So it went viral on the web, and so spent 4 months, built the game, and I released on iOS. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. So here were the downloads for the first week. 57. So this is 6 units on November 10th. So I released the game, and I tweeted, hey, a dark room on iOS. We got about 30 downloads. No, sorry, 19. And then that was the download for the first week. So during this talk, I'll talk about, I guess, some numbers and then lessons I learned from those numbers or from that experience. So if you decide to build an app, this is things that you can take with you and hopefully learn from my mistakes. So first week had 57 downloads. Viral game on the web, ported to iOS. That's what I got. It's not great. But Twitter does help. Okay? So what I ended up doing was after the first week, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to, figure out how to quote unquote market this game to other people? So the interesting thing was because the web version went viral, if I was on Twitter and I would type in a darkroom, the URL, I would actually find people that have tweeted about the game. So I became almost obsessive about using that as my funnel, and I would find people that would interact with me in the context of the game. So I created a darkroom iOS, and I wouldn't say, hey, there's an iOS version. I would actually speak in the context of the game itself. So I would say things like, yes, excellent, bring me more souls to consume. Or give little dialects from the actual game itself, like little components, storyline components, and they loved that interaction. It was a way to feel involved with the game without me, and it was genuine interaction. It wasn't me just trying to market the game to them. So I made a lot of good connections, and I found that generally what would happen is that if someone retweeted one of those interactions, I would see a small spike in downloads. So this was Courtney Stanton was one of the first people that tweeted about the game, and she had her follow ratio was pretty good. And when she tweeted about it, I saw a spike. Okay, and it turns out that for every 1,000 followers, you'll get about 10 downloads, and I found out that if you divide by 10, that's 1 download for every 100 followers. Right, if my math serves correctly. Yeah, it's that metric system thing. So that's good to know, all right, with regards to interactions. So I was like, hey, that works. I'm gonna continue building these relationships because that's what I perceived them as. It wasn't just one-off marketing; it was building relationships. So I actually built really good relationships with all these people. Leah Alexander, she was an editor on Gamasutra, which is basically games and Business Insider put together. Cara Ellison, she's an editor. She, with regards to where she was at that point in time, it was Paste Magazine. Maddie Myers, same thing. Elizabeth Simmons, she's an artist. Zoe Quinn, she actually had a Greenlight project on Steam called Depression Quest. It was a text-based game also. And then Owen Faraday, who operates as Pocket Tactics. So these were connections that I built through Twitter, through the Twitter handle, and it took genuine interaction with them, and consistent interaction with them to get them to be familiar with me. Okay, so that really helped, and having these notable interactions were important in the story of A Dark Room. And then finally, I got an unsolicited review, which was so cool, right? So Pocket Gamer in the UK said, take a risk with A Dark Room iOS and you may find a new addiction. It was written by this guy right here who's speaking the rainbow. And Pocket Gamer's got 45,000 followers. He's got a good 5,000. So that happened around end of November. And around that same time, Touch Arcade found the game and put up a forum entry for it, tweeted about it, and I got some good traffic on there too. So there were people talking about the game, so I got the unsolicited review. And it was Turkey Day. So it was Thanksgiving around that time too. So in that entire week, so game downloads generally in the App Store increase on holidays. It's a big deal. So when holidays come around, don't lower the price of your game, raise it. People will still buy it. So all these things happen in the same week. So it was like almost like a critical mass. So I was excited about this. I was like, okay, this is going to be a good week, right? All these same things happened. 203 downloads next week. 50. My company quadrupled in size. So and the funny thing is that you've got these Twitter interactions, and what actually gave me the most downloads was the fact that it was Thanksgiving. So there you go. We need more holidays. So that was deflating, right? So I had the viral game first week, 57. Had all these great interactions. You see the spikes, 200 downloads. Like, what's going on? Then in December, something incredible happened. So December 27th, around the end of December, is a big deal for games, primarily because that's when a lot of the Game of the Years are announced. So A Dark Room, at least the web version, and then there were definite mentions of the iOS version. But on Paste Magazine, it made the 20 best indie games of 2013. Cara Ellison, top 10 games of 2013. Zoe Quinn on Giant Bomb, which is a subsidiary of, I think, GameSpot. Not 100% sure on that. But that was on there, and it was also in Forbes. So top 10 anti-games of 2013. And so this all happened around like the December 27th time frame. And when this happened, I was like, this has got to be a big deal, right? This was the first night where I honestly could not sleep, because seeing this kind of exposure, especially making so many 2013 Game of the Year lists, was a big deal. So there are the downloads, 56 for that one day. This is depressing talk, isn't it? Yeah. So if I haven't beat this dead horse yet enough, is manage your expectations when it comes to these kind of releases. Okay. Your game will probably not go viral. It probably won't have huge successes like that, and media coverage probably won't help you. So please be realistic about have realistic expectations about these kind of things. So so then I've spent a large amount of time on Twitter, to the point of maybe stalking some people. I've gotten the media publication as good as I could get. Like how much better can you get than Forbes? So media outlets wasn't a thing. So what else could I do? Well, then I started writing about a darkroom, the journey I was taking. Specifically, this was inspired by the work that I did on making the game accessible to the blind. So what happened was that after I made the game accessible, AppleVis, the editor team of AppleVis, contacted me and said, "Hey, would you like to give away 10 codes to your game, and we'll have a little contest inside of our little community here." So I wrote a blog post about raising awareness. The blind people use iOS devices. And basically what these people had to do was they had to read the blog post and comment about something in the blog entry, and only then would they get a promo code. Okay? So there are some people out there that will just throw out promo codes like, you get a promo code, you get a promo code. So this was a good idea from the editor team that said they have to read something, they have to do some kind of action before they get a promotion. So I'm more than obliged to give out those promo codes. But it gave me the idea, and what I did was I took the same concept and then I went, posted more things about it, posted my history with regards to the game. If you go to amirrajan.net, you have the full 14-month log in detail. Talked about the sabbatical, what I was trying to accomplish, just as much as I could write about my personal experience and the experience I was having as I was building the game. And doing that, I then went onto Reddit, our app hookup, and Touch Arcade, and emulated that same idea. So I said, read my blog post about taking a sabbatical, comment about something on there, and only then would you get a promo code. So what happened was that I started building a connection. They started to know who I was as a person. Right, so it wasn't just a darkroom. It was like, oh, Amir built that game, and I did this a number of times. I did this for a good month, going on Reddit, going on Touch Arcade, these different communities, writing about my experience, like the PocketGamer.uk review. I would say, read this review of the game, comment, prove to me that you read it, and then that's when you get a promo code. So I did that for a long period of time, and you can see each spike that occurred, and the subsequent drop, of course. But that's not too bad. Like for a month of doing this, you notice how I did that. $1,000, right? 4 times bigger now. I'm like quadrupling every month. It's awesome. But that helped. That helped build these interactions. But if you still notice, I'm only getting like 40 downloads a day, right? So it was good experience. It was a good connection that I was building with these people. That was great. Okay, so at that point the game was $1.99. So I said, let me make it $1. Let's see what happens. So it turned out there's quite a few syndications out there that will actually look at games that go on sale. It's crazy. So I put it on sale, and then suddenly that one day I made 351 downloads. So a month worth of publications, Forbes magazine, all this crazy stuff, and I just put the game on sale for $1, and I get 351 downloads. It was pretty insane. So sales help. Don't do it too often because they keep track of your history, and they probably won't showcase you as much if you try to game it like that. All right. So holidays and sales, aside from everything, holidays and sales are my two big winners. Well, so I've done news publications. I've done the promo code giveaway. Now what do I do? Like, what's next? What the hell do I do? So I started talking to these people about a darkroom, saying, hey, you interacted with me on Twitter a few times. I'm out of ideas on what to do. I'm an indie developer. I'm trying to make it. Can you help me out? Of course, I contacted Laurent also at this point in time, saying, hey, I built a game in Ruby Motion. Around that time we had the first interview, and or the interview. It took a few months for them to actually publish it, which had perfect timing with it going viral. But it was great to just reach out to people and be genuine, and it worked out. And what happened was that Lauren, of course, replied, and then Leah Alexander replied too. And she said, "Yeah, I'll write a write up for you." And when I was speaking to her, this was another important lesson that I learned. I said, thank you, I really appreciate this. I'm indebted to you, et cetera, et cetera. And Leah Alexander just said, it's about empowerment. It's not. I'm not doing you a favor, and you're not doing me a favor by having me interview you. I'm empowering you because it's what I do, right? And what and frankly, what I feel we should do as community, as just being a human being, is empower others, right? We're not doing anyone a favor; we're empowering them. So that was an important lesson that I learned with this interaction, is this idea of empowerment. So that was good. I really appreciated that. So this was the holiday sale. This was the spike right here that I got from the publication. Can anyone guess what this huge spike is here from March 11th to March 19th?
People ate a lot of turkey? March 11th. March Madness.
Spring break. Right, so yet again, it's proven that media publications still don't help as much as like holidays. It's just so weird. It's like, this is ridiculous. But there you have it. So around this time, when I hit this big hump and I saw it falling, I was like, I need to keep this momentum. I didn't know it was spring. I didn't know spring break was causing it at that point. So I was like, I have to keep this momentum. I'm gonna make it free. I'm gonna make the game free. And turns out if you go from a paid app to a free app, you actually lose your ranking in whatever category you're in. So I had that momentum. I was like the number 12, 15 RPG at that point in time. And I was like, I'm a paid game. I'll make it free, and that should convert over. It doesn't. So I lost my ranking completely, which sucked. And then I wanted to just see what happened. Well, when I made it free, I got 15,000 downloads in 2 days. And the first day came out, I was like, wow, holy crap, 4,000 downloads, and then another nine some odd thousand downloads. Yeah, 999%, greater than. I'm just growing by leaps and bounds here, and of course you can see that it carried over when I made it paid again. Right there, that was really depressing when I saw that. So making that free and then making it paid again doesn't help. It's so ridiculous, but none of that carried over. Now what? So I've done the publications, I've done the Reddit, I've called in my favors on Twitter. So what do? So I put a well-placed review button. I did an iPad release with some cool modules and mix-ins because I didn't know auto layout, right? This was my revenue for those 4-month period, and I just gave up at that point. I was like, I'm gonna do some user group talks about it, but the game's done. I'm happy from that perspective, right? So this was the 4-month period. $246 was that one day that I put it on sale. I got $246 of revenue from that, and I just gave up. And then something happened. It went viral in the UK. So I was spending so much time on just metrics on the US market. I would see like one day when I woke up in the morning, awake, head throbbing, vision blurry. Yeah, some people got it. See. I woke up and I had 800 downloads. I was like, holy crap! How do I get 800 downloads? Well, it turned out that the game went from being a really low ranked game to the number 5 app overall. Yes. It was $1 still. Yeah. So what happened was that I found, with regards to the trends, that the 199 price point, when I lowered the price, I got twice as many downloads. So my revenue stayed flat. And I was like, the game market is so large, anyways. I'm not serving a niche customer market. It just made sense to get more people downloading the game. Yep. So I kept it at $1, and it went viral in the UK. And I don't understand why it went viral in the UK. I just don't. So it goes viral in the UK, and on this day when it was the number 1 app, and I made four grand in one day, I was like, $4,000 a day times 365 days. Oh man, this is so awesome. So this is the second night I didn't sleep. And it goes back to managing your expectations, because it did drop very quickly afterwards. So I was completely deflated after seeing it rise and drop, especially because when it hit the number 1 spot, I got a barrage of 1-star reviews. So this is one of the reviews. Fraudsters, and I can't do a UK accent, so I apologize for that. Do we? You Americans. So Fraudsters, this game is awful. All the reviews are fake. The people behind this have broken the law, as this is clearly fraudulent activity designed to get you to part with your money for false promises. Absolute disgrace, pure theft, pure criminality. So it's this mob mentality that occurred, because you get you see this app at the number 1 spot, you download it and you see what a dark room is, and you're like, what the crap is this thing? And you leave. So the other thing with how reviews work is that the length of the review determines where it's located. So the longer the review, the higher it is in your review stack. And then the number of stars puts it a little bit higher. So if you have a 5-star review that's really long, that's generally the one that will be at the highest point. But if you have a 1-star review that's really, really long, that becomes the most notable review. So this mob mentality started forming around this 1-star review, and I kept getting 1-star reviews. It was crazy. I got one review that said, I paid 99 cents or 79 pence or whatever for this game. Save your money, buy lettuce. Tap the lettuce, because it's a game that you tap progress bars. Tap the lettuce, because at the end of the day, you still have lettuce. I was like, and I was like, I was sad. I was really sad because people were calling my baby ugly. But then you get used to the 1-star reviews. That's the great thing about, I guess, being human. It's like you adapt and you get used to it, and it starts rolling off. But there were some incredibly hilarious 1-star reviews that I got. But it's surprising how much you take that personally. Like that was something that I learned from this experience. Again, I'm trying to give some learnings from this stuff. And then it fell off, right? It dropped, but then it started rising in the U.S. And I don't understand why this happened. So this is not a 0, that's a K. So that's 2,000 downloads a day that I'm at right now. So it dropped in the UK, and I started seeing a rise in the US. At 2,000 downloads a day, that's crazy. And then it became the number 1 RPG and the number 5 game on August 11th, and the number 10 app overall. And I got 8,000 downloads on that one day. So in relation, this is the 4,000 downloads. That's the number 1 app in the UK. This is the number 10 app in the US. Yes.
I'd just like to point out that I bought it. The report was cool.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
I'd like to point out I bought it way before.
And so you bought it yesterday, right? Boo. There you go. So then after that, when it became the number 10 app, and after that it became the number 1 app. And on April 13th, it got made $14,652.41 in one day. Lost sleep again. Lost a lot of sleep. At this point, exercise was the only thing that kept me sane. So basically, working out until I passed out was the only thing that can get my mind off of this. Yes. Okay, that's an interesting question. So the question was, why didn't you get maybe like some external wheelhouses to buy your app and bring it up? It's surprisingly very difficult to do that. So the way the rankings work is that you have to have a 4-day moving average of a certain number of downloads. Okay, so basically, if I wanted to try to do the math on this to see if I can figure it out, but basically you have to have 10,000 downloads a day for 4 days to hit the number 1 spot. So that's 40 grand right there. But not only do you need the money, you also need 40,000 unique iTunes IDs, right? And so that in itself is difficult. And then you have to coordinate it such that people download it across that 4-day period. And even if you do all that, and you give that initial investment, other people still have to download it and see if it's worth paying for, because you'll drop immediately if you don't maintain that download rate. So if you do 10, 10, 10, 10, and then you'll get maybe 20,000 downloads on the next day as the number 1 app. After that, you have to sustain that, otherwise you won't make your money back. Right? So it may be possible in the smaller markets. That's probably why I got such a backlash in the UK. But in the US market, this is very difficult to do. So, oh gosh, some people are like, evil ideas. Okay? Finally then, the New Yorker contacted me. This was a big deal. Like, they're on Reddit, I'm at 30 minutes. Can I keep going? Okay. So the New Yorker contacted me at this point, which is, I'm published in the New Yorker. Like, how awesome is that? New Yorker contacted me to talk about the app. They're legitimate. They do like fact checking and everything is cool. Yeah. So, yeah. I had the interview. I did everything, and then another person called afterwards, and they were like fact checking everything. He's like, "Are you sure this is like yes, this is accurate?" So surprisingly, that actually helped. So I had that spike, I had that second spike, and then this spike here, which was the New Yorker spike. So if you want media coverage to actually affect your app, just get published in the New Yorker. That's all you have to do.
First,
Oh,
go viral in the UK, then go viral in America. I don't know how to do that. Then New Yorker.
Yes. So I want to show you. I want to show you one other thing. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. All right. So this is April. Do you see the spike here? What do you think that spike was? No. So April, it's 4.
No, April.
April. July is not 4. Easter. Yes.
Huh.
Easter spike. And it was also 420. I don't know.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I have no idea. But yeah, there was an Easter spike too. So you get a number one app, drop, and then a holiday comes, it spikes up again. So weird. Um, but get published in the New Yorker, Easter. Like, so so again, this like the same interesting thing happens. It's weird. Right. Today is a darkroom day. Yeah, it was so crazy. So I made it free again after that. So what happened was that the spike happened. I had another spike here. This was when I released the ensign. So I got a bit of publication there. What happened was that when I released the ensign, Apple actually featured the ensign in one of the minor features, which was really nice. It was good to see that. But by doing that, it also pushed it up. No, that's further down. Sorry, New Yorker happened. I dropped, and then after this was the developer commentary. Okay, so the lesson I learned from there was basically having a connection with the end user. Okay, so I got the publication, but then I thought about how can I get more publications? But you can't beat the New Yorker. So what do you do? So what was I supposed to do there? So basically, I had to wait for the app to drop because I didn't want to release while I was at the number one spot. One, I'd lose my reviews. Two, it's risky. It was just generally risky to release at that point in time. So I did developer commentary, and then I just released that as the update. So when you beat the game, you actually get developer commentary by me and Michael about the creation of the game, and all that, just genuine stuff. And people connected with that. They really cared about that developer commentary, and it helped us bump back up for a short period. Okay, so what I learned from there is, again, with regards to how much power we have as developers, we can cut through the red tape, and you can speak directly with your end user. So it's pretty important. But it eventually did drop back down. So when it's so insane. So here's the UK spike. Here's the US spike, Easter, New Yorker, developer commentary. And then this is a metric taken at the end of July. At the 1 year anniversary, I'm back down to $151. That sucks. So now what? I made the game free again. As a 1 year anniversary. 1 year anniversary, game's free. Made it free. First day I got 36,000 downloads. I was like, okay, 10,000 downloads the last time I made it free. 36 is about in line. Yes. Oh, did you have a question? No, okay. Day 2, 111,000 downloads. It was trending upwards, so I was like, I'll keep it free. Let's see how long I can take this. Day 3, booyah. 203,000 downloads. Day 4, number 3 app, the Facebook messaging app, which we were forced to install, right? Crazy Taxi is a game from Sega, who was being featured at that point in time as an editor's choice. And then a darkroom. Day 5, 213,000 downloads. So I saw the drop then. I was like, okay, I've seen the drop. Day 6, a second day of drop. Day 7, that's when I made it paid again. Okay. So I just wanted to ride the wave, see how long I could do it. During that time period, I had 1.018 million downloads. Surely this carries over. Surely. Right? So this was the number one in the US. And then when you're free, yeah. So I took a 45-day moving average before and after to say, what are my average downloads on each side? So the 45-day moving average was 907 downloads a day before I made it free. After, it was 1,022 downloads a day. But I lost a week of revenue, right? So if I include the week of revenue, I'm at 901. This is depressing. Don't do it. And then after 60 days, I was back to 200 downloads. Ugh. So after all was said and done, this was, I guess, 1 year in. Total paid downloads was 715,000. Revenue was 707,000 at that point in time. End of year revenue was about 800, so we had 100,000 more downloads by the end of the year. Apple takes 30% of that, right? So now I'm down to 495. Then I split with Michael, so that's my cut, gross. Taxes is 45%. So 33% income, 15% self-employment, about 45. Yes. Yes. That's good. That's a good point. So that's a good point. So the this was actually under my corporation. The thing is, I have very little overhead, so there's nothing for me to expense. And the way dividends work in the U.S. at that point in time was that any capital gains that you provide to yourself are taxed at income. Plus, you pay Social Security and Medicare if you do at the corporate level if you count yourself an employee. So if I drew a salary, I would pay Social Security and Medicare for that. They get your money. You want to make money, become a government. So long and the short of it, I've talked to a number of CPAs. There's some things where you can do with like differential, like marginal tax brackets and whatnot, but it's a lot of headache, and I maybe would have saved like 3%. Yeah. 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 It's not worth it to save the 3% because I have a Mac. I was able to write off my Mac. Right. So that was that. So this was time to actualize profits 14 months. So effectively, my effective income was 9,732 a month, falling average, which is a net of $60 an hour. So if you are a contractor that can make this much, you made as much as I did over a 14-month period. Okay? So short version, don't do it unless you really, believe in what you're building. If you're going into the App Store for the money, you're going in for the wrong reason. There's so many apps out there that, like when Flappy Bird went viral, I got to me, I was like, I want to make Flappy Bird but better. And it's like, and I'm having that purchase. It's like, think about your meaningful work, because that's what really matters. So the 1 year anniversary, this was actually a 1 year. My income before taxes was $3,000. And then at the end of the year, I got best of 2014. That's an accomplishment. That's wonderful to be able to say that. So that was great. I had the ensign at that point in time, which was awesome. And you can see the full write up on amirrajan.net with like a lot of the details. So this is at this point, at the end of December, the game went viral again in the UK, and I was like, I've seen this pattern. But it didn't go viral in the US afterwards. So initially, I thought that the virility in the UK pushed the US up. Didn't happen again.
US is like, fool me once.
But yeah, it's bittersweet. Like, how many people can say that they have a #1 app, get published in the New Yorker, all this wonderful stuff, and at the same time, it's like the revenue is good. It's great passive income right now. Year to date, I think we're at 120,000. We got paid December's in January, so 120,000 split between us after taxes. That's pretty good passive income. But I'm still building additional assets, doing independent consulting part-time, 6 months out of the year. So it's nice. But you would expect to be on the beach in the Bahamas, and it's just not the case. At least not with apps like this. Question? Yes. Yes, I've thought about translating to other languages. So tricky thing about translating to other languages, one, it's not to humble brag, I guess, whatever. It's almost like poetry. The game, the prose that are in the game, parts of it, there's a certain saccade to it, with regards to how the phrasing is and a lot of the storyline. So I can't just do a cheap translation. It's got to be someone that really understands the game, understands English very well, and understands the essence of what we're trying to convey in the game. So looking at the high end, especially with it being a text-based game, I'm paying about 15 cents per word. So to translate the game over, it's about $3 to $4 grand, just to get a good translation. We actually went viral in Germany for one day, and we were number 5 in Germany. And during that spike, we made about $5 grand. So if you think about, if it takes me $3 to $4 grand to translate a game, I have to judge the market also and say, well, is it worth it, right? I was the number one app in India, no, number 10 app in India for, I gave a presentation around that. Became the number 10 app for a day with a whopping 13 downloads. Right. So I could have spent the money to translate the game over, but I would have been upside down on it. So Japan is an option. Japanese is an option. Korea maybe. Germany maybe, but it's all a crapshoot at this point. So it's tough. And I have 50 million devices in the U.S. that I haven't been on yet. I've only been on 2% of the devices. Man, that's crazy to say. It's so depressing. My game has only been downloaded by 2% of the iOS populace. Yes.
So, do the massive number of reviews, and obviously very positive, 4.7 or 4,
Yeah.
Does the massive number of reviews have residual
Yes.
value?
They help. They help significantly. Having a good number of reviews, solid reviews, especially for a text-based game with one lousy screenshot, no preview videos or anything, that's their goal to me. So the issue is that when I release a new game, new version of the game, reviews get archived. So I'm starting from square one again with the reviews, and I see a drop every time I release a version. So it's bittersweet, right? New content, but at the same time I lose my reviews. Yeah.
So what are your expectations realistically for the Google Play Store? I know you're working on one.
Right. So for the Android market, expectations is about 5% of U.S. revenue. I mean, of iOS revenue. Yeah. There's a lot of, at least from what I hear, there's quite a bit of piracy on Android. So there's really there's another game has done really well on iOS, and I've kept in contact with the guys, and they said they're about at 5% revenue of iOS. So I just have to go in with that estimate. I mean, that's still 80 grand, like 40 to 80 grand. So it's worth doing. It's just something I need to go in with. Yes, and I'll get you next. No, you first.
Very quick. Have you considered making like a version for, I would say, for TV-based video game systems, like to be like Steam or?
That's a possibility. Maybe for my other games, it just comes down to, do I want to go that route? I know mobile now, so it really comes down to whether it's worth it. Yeah, what kind of long tail it has.
In the months after release, were you spending hours of your day doing those forms of engagement you talked about and marketing? And then second question, when you got the spikes, were you spending hours per day dealing with your inbox?
Yeah. So with regards to the marketing, I would say it was about 20 to 30 hours a week.
So it's close to a full-time job.
Close to a full-time job. Sending out emails, working the Twitter funnel, going on Reddit, commenting, writing about it. It was a good amount of work. With regards to when it went viral, dealing with the inbox, every interview that came my way, I said yes to. New Yorker, Cult of Mac. There was a Business Insider interview, someone on Medium, CBS 11, local news. So I got that. That was cool. And that's where a lot of the good emails I got from my kids. So I would be really good about replying to them and doing that. But yeah, during that time period, I would say I wasn't spending as much time, maybe like 5 to 10 hours a week. But it was just there was a lot of mental stress at that point in time, just a ton of. We are not prepared for this to happen. Like there's very little you can prepare for that. So a lot of mental stress. 18 days of not sleeping is not good for you. But it was rough. Yes.
Knowing everything that you know right now, and you transport it back in time to 2013, would you do it again?
Yes.
Would you set your game free as much as you did?
Yeah, I think so. The reason I would do it again is I came out maybe because I had to pay my own medical expenses at that point too. So I maybe came out 20 grand ahead. But how many people can say that they took a 14 month sabbatical and came out 20 grand ahead, right? So that, and then being part of this community and being able to speak and all that stuff. There were ancillary benefits to doing that. If I was looking strictly at the revenue, no, it's not worth it. But that's why I emphasize so much about the meaningful work. There's got to be ancillary things that you care about outside of just revenue.
Although technically, you really did make like more. It was over 200.
Yeah.
Is well over. You gave away half. Obviously, that was.
Yeah, that's true. But the likeliness of you building an app by yourself and making the number one is at least half as unlikely as making. We're doing a 2-year anniversary release. So there's collaboration with. Yeah, so the marketing was pretty much all me. Michael is handling a lot of the legal. So we're trying to get a registered trademark. We're trying to, deal with clones and all those things. So he's got that aspect of the business. We exchanged about 70 emails throughout the development of the game, and then a final session to talk about what we like the concept, the re-envisioning that I did. So it was good. And then this 2-year anniversary release that we're doing, he's building new content. I'm building new content. So it should be a good release. I see. So let's have you. How much I lost to clone? I think it's insignificant. It's more of an issue with brand. Because I would get emails saying that, hey, your game doesn't work, it's terrible. And can you send me a screenshot? And they would send me a screenshot of the clone. It's like, it's not my game. Here's a promo code. I would at that point just give them a promo code. It's like, I understand, maybe you can't buy the game. Here's a promo code. Here's a real version. Please don't play the clone. So the interesting thing was that as I started getting a following, people would actually report clones for me. And they would leave bad reviews on the clone saying that this is crap, Yeah, so there was a really good fan base, and that came from that connection that I kept building. But I think it was a negligible amount. Yep, and then I'll get you next. Yeah, so the Michael actually did the donation approach for the web version of the game. He made $300. Yeah. Yeah, I keep telling him, I was like, yeah, mine is open source and cross-platform with JavaScript and HTML. I was like, yeah, you also made $300 off the game. So the donation approach didn't work. The game I'm building right now is free, and I'm trying to funnel people to a darkroom, so I talk about a darkroom in that game. I'm gonna see how that works out to see if that has some cross-pollination. Yep. So that's good. So that's what I'm doing right now. We'll see what happens there. Yep.
So, broader question, standing back from a little bit after I didn't fully notice something. Is there a business model in general, or is it marketing?
So with regards to definitely love first for me. With regards to the business model, I think having a large number of small assets is definitely doable. So I have a lesser game called Beautiful Go, and it's just the game of Go and a virtual board that you can play the game on. No AI, no nothing. That makes about $50 a month. That's not a lot, but if you have 20 apps that make $50 a month, that's a big deal, right? So I think you and then you start cross pollinating, saying that you built this app and then cross pollinate to another one. There's definitely opportunity there. I would say generally a successful iOS app makes about 6,000 a year, 4 to 6,000. I would say you're doing pretty great if you can do that. Yeah, you'll have your unicorns here and there, which is great. But a lot of assets build good things. Build quality stuff. Build it because you enjoy it, and I think there's an option there.
Nope, I have to be the buzzkill. Keep this train moving. Ask Amir more questions next door. Real quick break, and then we're going to welcome Paul Sturgis to the stage. But thank you again, Amir.